Hello and welcome to the Miss Rolling podcast. As usual, my name is Jacob Staten, and as usual, I'm joined by JJ Armstrong. JJ, after a period of absence from the podcasting scene, we've made a swift return with the return of the new season, the 25-26 season. How the devil are you?
Fantastic, Jacob. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling back. I'm feeling a few stone lighter since the last time you saw me. And I'm going to give it a bit of a... I just wanted to let people know that I'm hot now. Give me a bit of a popped collar for Mr. Hudson-odoi. That's how good I feel. It's popped collar feelings. That's what we're saying. How are you? How the devil are you?
You in your Cantona era.
I am. How the devil are you, Jacob?
I'm very well. Since we last spoke to the Forest world, I've had yet another child, making it 9,000 in total. Yeah, that's about it.
Congratulations, Jacob. Congratulations.
Yeah, 1,000 thank yous. 1,000 thank yous. Now, let's jump 2-foot tackle, Roy Keane and Arfinger Haaland into match on Sunday, which was Brentford at home, first game of the season. Tricky opponent, even with their rubbish manager and losing all the best players. Whether they actually still play for the club or not, they're refusing to play. JJ is going to put a little beautiful thing up of the first 11, which, in my opinion, JJ, given the players available at the time, is the strongest 11 we could put out.
Absolutely. And I think, obviously, we haven't done a pre-season podcast to talk about our thoughts about, the preparation for this season. But I think this graphic alone can show you that whilst it might have looked a little bit quiet on the transfer front, and we will obviously go on to discuss how that's rapidly changing. But I think you look at this starting 11 and you realise what an important and impressive window it has actually been in terms of keeping together the core squad that made such an impact and did such a good job last season. And I think consistency is so important to build momentum. The only real person we've lost here is Elanga, and I think we've replaced really well with Odoi. But, at the end of last season, I wouldn't have been too shocked to see Murillo not be here, see Aina not be here. There was whispers of him not having a contract. Hudson-odoi, I thought possibly he wasn't going to sign another one. Yeah. Gibbs-white, obviously, there was a lot that happened over the summer. But I just think this is our strongest 11 as it stands. It might be due to change over the coming weeks as we find out a bit more about other players that are coming in. But I think it's extremely impressive given the summer activity or lack of that. This is the most important bit we've got, and obviously we'll strengthen. If you look on the bench, it is okay. Like there is some decent options there, and we have looked to address that and strengthen that. But this starting 11 really excites me. So, what about you? What are your thoughts, Jacob? Because obviously there's been a lot of I don't know if you could call it criticism, but a lot of people online sort of wondering where are all these transfers. Forest are normally quite active, and now we know that we are going to be. But do you think, looking at this starting 11, that this is actually the most important business of the summer?
I mean, I can't disagree with that. I think there's been a clear delay on activity based on what European competition we're going to be in. I thought the Nuno interview where he said that we're completely and utterly unprepared, etc., was a little childish, really. I expected more from him. I mean, I think given the performance that we'll discuss in a short while, it may have been a bit of smoke and mirrors. I think I think it all hinged on what European competition we're in. And obviously, since that interview, we've gone on to sign Amari Hutchinson from Ipswich for £37.5 million, James McAtee from Manchester City for upwards of the £30 million, I think, all in. Probably buyback clause in there as well, I believe. And Arnau Calimendo from Rennes, striker. So, I think being realistic, we've not had heavy losses. Elanga to Newcastle, I think for the money we got was a good deal all round. Dan Odoi seems great business based on his first match, and he was probably the only exciting player in pre-season. I think so far it's a strong window. Obviously, we're looking at Douglas Luiz. There's talk of Rico Lewis, who played really well for Man City against Wolves on Saturday night. I think the missing piece of the puzzle. I think Douglas Luiz might be a bit too much in central midfield. But I think fullback is an area that we need cover personally.
Yeah, I think we've addressed some really important gaps in our squad with these 3 new signings, particularly with Callum Owendo coming in. Obviously, we had Igor Jesus or Jesus, however you say it.
I think it'd be Jesus because he's Portuguese, isn't it? So it'd be hard, Jay. I think.
Well, he looks quite capable. I think Luis. Entirely dependent on what version of Sangare we get this season, and we will go on to discuss the game. But I did keep turning to you, Jacob, and saying that this is the Sangare that excites me that we saw yesterday against Brentford, and he impressed in pre-season, and he was one of the rare players that I think got 90 minutes in some of the games rather than coming off. So he's obviously trying to get his fitness. I don't think he's always had his fitness since he's been here. Various reasons, which are just unfortunate. But just from what I saw in pre-season, what I saw yesterday, I think if this version of Sangare sticks about, and if we get Dominguez back once he's fit, and obviously we've got Ryan Yates, then Luis might be a bit too much. But you can never, deny that added quality is only going to strengthen us, especially now we've got Europe, and it's going to be a Thursday, Sunday turnaround. So we've got options. We've almost got a second really strong 11 to the first 11 now, apart from fullbacks. If we can address that issue, then I think we're going to be in a really, really strong position. But what obviously we've talking about this 11 and the sort of transfers made, and we'll go on to discuss the match. But I just want to get your thoughts, Jacob, because I think a lot of emphasis was put on pre-season of it being bad. And it wasn't necessarily bad. It was just a bit dull. It felt a little bit ineffective. Didn't really get out of it anything exciting. But I'll ask the question to you. Did that leave you apprehensive going into this season? Is it always a case of the main thing about pre-season is just to get the minutes and not get injured? And also, when was the last time you remember a pre-season being any good? When was the last time you actually remember a pre-season match at all? Because I certainly don't.
I don't care in the slightest about preseason results, if I'm being perfectly honest. I see it as a time for players to get fit, to try out new things, or to not try out new things, to stick with what you've got.
And sorry to interrupt, but we definitely did. We were trying 4-4-2. We were trying 3 at the back, 5 at the back. We were trying a lot of new things. So to your point, it's the time to try it when there's nothing on the line.
Yeah, I mean, I personally went to the Monaco friendly at Chesterfield. We played 2 different 11s, starting from the first half to the second half. The first half team that came off, I had to do a full cool down as well. So it's just fitness for me, fitness and trying things, and I think that's shown. That's never been better exemplified than the performance on Sunday. My wife, I always say smart about it, so I don't care about it. She said, it's not that you don't care, you don't mind. I don't mind what the results are. And pre-season friendlies, they make no difference to me. It's not like if we beat every single team 7-0 in pre-season, and then we lost on Sunday, we don't get an extra point because we won all our pre-season games, do we?
Yeah, good point. And that brings us nicely on to yesterday or Sunday's performance against Brentford, because the intensity compared to the pre-season games we'd seen was drastically different, wasn't it?
I mean, for me personally, the second Chris Wood's goal went in, that was game over. It was one of the best. Not like all thrills and spills, and like you could look at the Brighton game where we won 7-0 last season and say that's probably one of the best performances I've ever seen. But like it was so controlled, it was so effortless. If that's what it looked like, that's because of how well they were playing. Everyone knew what their job was. Just fun, Morgan Gibbs-white looked at his absolute. Normally, in my opinion, I think Gibbs-white takes a couple of months to get going. At the start of the season, he looked back to his kind of best. Elliot Anderson, phenomenal. Sangare had a wonderful game. What else do we want?
Yeah, I mean, straight away you could just tell, couldn't you? I mean, this is why we talk about keeping this starting 11 consistent from last season. And this is the sort of the result of that, because not only did everyone know their role perfectly, but you're starting to see, or continuing to see, the relationships that are developed. Like, obviously, Anderson keeps everything ticking. The back 4 all know their role perfectly. Yeah. You're never scared when it comes near them. Williams and Hudson-Odoi, I thought, linked up beautifully. Same with Aina and Odoi. I mean, that partnership already looks like they've got a really good connection there, and that's early days as well. And I really liked N'Doye. I really liked what he brought. He's very direct. So I think we've actually maybe replaced Langer with potentially more exciting player. Obviously not quite as electric in terms of pace, which we will miss, but I think if he's that direct and has that link up, that's exciting, that's promising, and offers something different. And then obviously you've got Gibbs-White making it tick in the middle, and I think most things he tried came off, which doesn't always happen for Gibbs-White. Like I say, it does take a few months, but when he's on it, and shades of when he had the tifo, I think it was against Fulham, and he was just playing out of his skin, and everything he was trying was coming off. It felt like that. His flicks, his sort of, everyone knew where they were. People were leaving the ball, dummying it to go to the person that they knew would be there. The back heels were going to someone they knew would be there. I mean, Anderson and Sangare were exceptional in the middle. I mean, Anderson is getting better with each game, I think, and Sangare was brilliant. So just straight from the off, you could just really tell that this is a team that's connected, and that's exciting. So that's why I do say that keeping that consistency is so important, and that shows why.
Yeah, I think you've highlighted Anderson and Sangare. I think it was a really, really, really wonderful balance in the middle of the pitch. Those two really let each other shine. I think Hudson-Odoi and Williams did play well, particularly in the first half. Although a special shout out to, I think it's Michael Cody, the Brentford right back, who actually I thought defended quite well against Hudson-Odoi. Showed him onto his left foot, which I think is his weaker option. Quite a lot. Yeah, Dan N'Doye, I think as well. I think he's physically looks more of what I would expect from a Nuno winger. Quite big, tall, strong. His header was a great header as well for a goal. Wonderful ball in from Gibbs-White. Just, I've said it once. What else do we want, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, let's talk about the first goal. I think it is Forest sort of at their best, because often the thing that frustrates me about set pieces and corner kicks is not beating the first man. And as we were there at the ground, as Anderson kicked that ball, the first thing you said was, what a ball, that's a goal. Because you knew it was going in the right area. And it's just a vintage Chris Wood finish, isn't it? And I think the defence for Brentford definitely could have reacted quicker, but Chris Wood's instinct to react quicker than them, to poke it home, was beautiful. And like you said earlier, I didn't really feel in danger from that. And I think partly because of the momentum I thought Forest had, I thought we looked really strong, really positive. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that Brentford just didn't look like they were offering anything or could offer anything. So it did feel like it could be a comfortable afternoon. And then obviously, before half time, he added another two. So,
yeah, I mean, I've already mentioned the Dan N'Doye goal. Just really neat, tidy play. The Gibbs-White ball into the box is sensational. He does that little look up first. He knows exactly where and what he's doing with his weak foot. Great header from Dan N'Doye, who's played onside by Nick Collins. Yeah.
Again, this is where Gibbs-White knows where someone's going to be. And the look-up is very slight, very minimal. And yet he's still, on the half-term, manages to whip a ball like that in for a great header. I mean, brilliant goal. I think it was a special goal. But let's talk about the next one, because Elliot Anderson take an absolute bow.
I mean, and on the other side of that as well, talking of little looks up and that kind of thing, there's a thing when as soon as they pass that ball forward, Chris Wood sees it's going to Elliot Anderson and just turns and runs. And the ball from Anderson could not be any more perfect. The run could not be any more perfect. I think it was a match of the day. They said it could be a contender for assist of the season on the first day. I think we'll struggle to find a better pass than that. It was just phenomenal. And typified Anderson's, particularly his first half, but the whole game for Anderson. Just good. And I think as well, what helps, and this is the balance between Sangare and Anderson, the way that Gibbs-White is trusting that he will get the ball, so staying further up. So all the flicks and tricks that he does, if they don't happen, they're not it doesn't affect as badly, because he's not on the halfway line. They can counter attack. He's trusting that he's going to get the ball now from Anderson and Sangare.
Yeah, and great composure by Chris Wood, as always, to round the keeper. I think it did fall quite kindly. It sort of bobbled between his legs, but, he's got the composure, and it was a lovely finish. Lovely goal. Again, that understanding that Chris Wood already has with Anderson, this is why it's important to be so consistent. And I think the first half rounded off, and you could call it game over, I think. And typically, sometimes with Forest, we have one really strong half and can often not quite, flatter in the second. But I think we did what we needed to do in the second. And we won't reflect on this too much, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts, because in the pub afterwards, you seem to be quite strongly opinionated on this. But tell me your thoughts on, and it didn't affect the results, it's not too bad, but tell me your thoughts on Brentford getting a penalty for a handball, which some could argue was weaker than the one that we should have gotten in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, I think the penalty that we should have got in the first half, which it wasn't on any highlight videos, by the way, which I think is atrocious. And just adds to the fact that I think referees are protected, even though they're doing a rubbish job. I don't understand what they're looking for. If that's not a penalty, what are you actually looking for? The ball comes towards him. He lifts his arm up to block it. Even to the point of, I can't remember which, I think it was Anderson, chucked Chris Wood the ball.
Yeah, they were certain on the pitch.
I appreciate that they try not to differ from the referee too much to undermine him. I actually really appreciate that. But this is a stone wall penalty that he's made a catastrophic mistake on. Obviously at the point that was 1-0. If we'd have gone on to draw or lose that game, that would have had if we'd have gone on to draw that game because of the penalty they got, that's a bigger howler than what it was. Thankfully, as you mentioned, it didn't affect the result. But the penalty they got was soft. I thought the penalty they got was softer than the one that we should have had. But I still probably think it was a penalty. He lifts his arm up. It was a penalty.
Yeah, and if it is, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just the consistency. I think that it's getting boring again. It's first game of the season, and it's already something to be spoken about. And like we say, it didn't affect the results, so no point in dwelling on it too much. However, that a similar decision is going to go that way against us at some point. It will be for the exact same thing, and it can cost us in the future. So a bit of consistency, and if theirs was given, why wasn't ours? And also, why is it then being looked at above with the benefit of replays is still not given? Haven't seen it back, so it could be that it just definitely wasn't. But from what I saw on social media, from a brief little clips that I could find, I would say it's a penalty. But it's fine if it's not. Just be consistent, And like I say, it didn't affect us. But First three points in a really promising performance. I don't think there's really anything else to note. But I guess who were your standout players? Morgan Gibbs-white got man of the match in the ground. I think Elliot Anderson got it on TV. So anyone that you particularly, I think everyone played well, but anyone particularly that you were impressed with?
I have the same opinion as I did for the player of the season last year. I can't remember who was player of the season for Forest last year.
Couldn't tell you. I cannot remember. Oh, yeah. Decent, hopefully.
I once again, how Chris Wood can score 2 goals in the opening game of the season, 2 great goals, by the way, and not get player of the match is beyond me. Same with last season when he didn't get player of the season.
Yeah. I think, but sometimes you get a bit complacent and you sort of expect it. And I think maybe he's at that end of the scale where, it's just Chris Wood, he'll score 2 goals. But, his 2 goals were brilliant. So I personally think maybe Chris Wood should have got it. But, Anderson really impressed me. Yeah. I mean, Gibbs-white did impress me. I'm not saying Gibbs-white didn't deserve it. I thought he was fantastic. I also thought hudson-odoi and Sangare were 2 particular ones that really stood out. You could probably argue most players for it because they all played really well and they were all very strong. The defence did their job. What more could you ask for? The fullbacks did their job.
So we still look like the most organised team on the pitch, which
yes.
Yeah.
But I think there is an element now where we have options to try new things. I know we tried it in pre-season, it didn't always come off, but with another striker, Cali Mwendo's not come in just to sit on the bench. I'm going to assume we'll be playing two up top a few times. Douglas Luiz, exactly the same. He's not going to come in, sit on the bench. Are we going to sort of see a three-man midfield with Anderson, Sangare and Luiz in some matches where we really need to win that battle? We've got options now, and I think the exciting thing is I think where we sort of lost it at the back end of last season is we did plan A well, and there was no plan B. The plan B was to do plan A better, and if you get sussed out on plan A, not really much we can do about it.
And by sussed out on plan A, you mean goal down?
Yes. But I think plan A is still, we're very, very good at it. Yeah. But we do have options now to change some stuff. And I think that's going to be really important, particularly against difficult opposition, particularly against, the teams in Europe, that we're not going to be quite used to playing. Mm-hmm. So it's a really exciting time to be a Forest fan. But yeah, is there anything else from this Brentford game? Any worries, any concerns, or do you just sort of see it as all positive?
All positive, I think, as well. For the special mention for the second half, apart from their penalty, which, I think I've already said it was a penalty for me. Just saw it out. You never felt in any particular danger, even when they scored the penalty. I don't know. It was quite serene, really. They were a really positive, attacking first half, and then a serene, controlled second half. Especially against this kind of opposition. This is, I don't know. It feels like the new Forest is here to stay from last season.
Yeah, and I think Brentford, if anything, sort of look like the old Forest to me. A bit naive, but I'll be not gutted to see them go down if they do. They're one of those really annoying teams like Bournemouth that always seem to frustrate us over the years. So it is what it is. But what I will say for me, something I noticed, is whilst it was a continuation on form for the players, continuation on form for the fans, the atmosphere was great, and some of the new chants were brilliant. The Marinakis, he hates the Palace, he hates the Tottenham Forest of Magic, exceptional. And the Gibbs-white, he said no. Tottenham, he said no. Superb. Absolutely superb.
Marvellous.
Speaking of Palace, before we talk about the next game is against Palace, is that right, Jacob?
Palace away on Sunday?
Palace away on Sunday. So, before we talk about that, something interesting happened within the last few weeks. We didn't talk about it because we didn't do a pre-season prediction, but Jacob, would you like to let me know what competition we'll be playing in and why?
We'll be in the Europa League because Crystal Palace cheated.
It's been an interesting few weeks of fan turmoil. Two sets of fans bickering, which, for my 5 cents, I think Palace earned it. Forest didn't. We had the chance to earn it and we didn't. So Palace have the right to feel aggrieved. They don't have the right to feel aggrieved at Forest or Forest fans. However, it should be the suit that didn't read his emails and did follow the rules. When we had to get the points deduction, we were told rules are rules, and we had to swallow it, even if we didn't think they're entirely fair, because other clubs were punished different things. There was a disparity in the amount of points given. The rules weren't that clear, but rules are rules. We had to swallow it, and it is what it is. Our owner was able to follow the rules just in case we achieved Champions League and did it in the right deadline. Theirs didn't. And if I was a Palace fan, I'd be really, really pissed off. But all we can do is take what's given to us. You can't look a gift horse in the mouth. And we're in Europa League. So it's really exciting. I do feel for Palace. Like I say, it's frustrating. But we're in a better competition. And I think we probably deserve to be there on merit. I think, obviously, technically, we didn't, and we're not. But I think following the season we had, I still feel pleased, and still feel like we've earned it. Do you feel any different to that, Jacob?
No, I mean, I think Crystal Palace fans should be furious with their internal officials. If it's true that they genuinely were getting emails and were just ignoring them, then that is literally crazy.
It's not a defence, is it?
It's not a defence. I think they could have been proactive with it as well, not reactive. I think they could have been going to, when they got to the semi-final, they could have written to FIFA and say, hey, we know we've missed the deadline, but we weren't expecting to get this far. Can we have a conversation? I think that would have maybe yielded a different result. But to go in full on wow tears after they've broken the rules and been punished, I think was the wrong way of going about it. And I don't think we're in no position for any level of blame or anything like that. It's all Palace officials not doing what they're paid to do, right?
Yeah. And a lot of the blame and conflict seems to come from Forest ratting out. It's not true. We needed clarification of the rules, because why wouldn't a multi-club owner want clarification on what's happening and to clarify the situation? He was able to do it. He needs to understand if this is no longer a thing, where do I stand? I think it's important. And also, I think Palace would be very naive to think that they wouldn't do the exact same thing if the script was flipped and it was us that won the FA Cup and they were the ones that should possibly get into Europa because we hadn't done the multi-club thing. They'd be naive to think that it'd be any different. So, yeah, I don't really understand it, but it does add a bit of bite to next fixture. But before we talk about that, it's worth talking about the Europa League. I'm just going to put on screen now the projected pots. Obviously, they're not official yet. They're done by football rankings, but it gives you a good idea. Jacob, what are you looking at here? What excites you in this?
I mean, so correct me if I'm wrong, JJ. I think
for those that are just listening, if you want to read out the pots, that would be probably beneficial.
So pot 1 is AS Roma, Porto, Rangers, Feyenoord, Lille, Dinamo Zagreb, Real Betis, Shakhtar Donetsk, Red Bull Salzburg. It's Rasenball Sport Salzburg, isn't it? Because they're not allowed to put Red Bull. Pot 2, that might be Leipzig. Anyway, sorry, pot 2, Aston Villa, Fenerbahce, Braga, Lyon, PAOK, Victoria Pilsen, Maccabi Tel Aviv, Young Boys and Slovan Bratislava. Pot 3 is FC Basel, Midtjylland, Karabag, Freiburg, Ludogorets, double European Cup winning Nottingham Forest, Sturm Graz, FCSB, which is nothing more than that, and Nice. And pot 4 is Bologna, Celta Vigo, Stuttgart, Malmo, Go Ahead Eagles, Utrecht, Genk, Paphos, and AEK Larnaca. Now, I'm willing to be wrong, but I think you are pitted against 2 teams from each pot, including your own pot. So, speaking as a complete and utter away day, I think if we could get something like Real Betis would be nice. A nice couple of days in Seville.
A nice little sunshine holidays. You thinking?
Sunshine holiday. Braga would be nice. Bologna would be nice. Paphos would be nice. Oh, look at some of the. That's to Germany for Freiburg would be nice, wouldn't it?
I'll tell you what, Jacob, I'll take a few of them. So I'm not really...
Rangers at home, JJ. Rangers at home. Oh,
that'd be tasty. I'm not really up to speed with the sort of the qualification element to this. So we don't have to go to qualifiers. We go straight into groups. Is that right? And if we were in the Europa Conference League, we would have had to do qualifiers. Is that correct?
Palace have a game on Thursday, which is why our game on Sunday is on Sunday.
Right, got you. So, I mean... I don't know whether this is me just being a little bit delusional, but given the sort of squad we've currently got, the momentum we're building from last season, I'm looking at this list of teams and there's no one that I'm particularly really worried about. I think we could probably beat most of these on the day and we could have a really good shot at going far in this competition. Obviously, you've got some big European teams. You've got Roma, you've got Porto,
Lyon,
even Villa. Villa are good in our league. Mm-hmm. There are big European teams. There are big names and there are good teams here. However, I do think this is a really great opportunity to go far in an important competition. And I know it's early days, but I think this is the competition that possibly could allow us to qualify for the Champions League over the traditional league route, similar to, how Spurs have done it. I think Spurs and United are good examples. They're 2 teams that were absolutely dreadful in our league last season. Yeah, they both got to the final, and one of them somehow won it. So Am I right in saying that the Champions League, because of the change of format, the ones that exit the Champions League no longer go into this competition?
Correct. Yeah, they don't drop down anymore, which is good.
So I think that is much better for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's just so exciting looking at this and, plotting these potential away days, even if we don't go far in the competition. European nights being back at the City Grounds, European away days is just so exciting, and in such a short amount of time as well. I often criticise the owners for short-termism, but somehow he's actually done it. And we look good for it as well. We look like we're starting to build a team that can actually thrive in the future and doing things properly finally. So this is really exciting, and I never would have really expected Forest to get to the Premier League from my years growing up watching them. I certainly never would have thought we'd have got Europe. So to see this and almost think, well, this ain't going to be our last European competition for a few years, at least that's how I feel right now. That's an exciting place to be, isn't it, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at all the teams on this list, and I personally, maybe I'm being overly optimistic and put me straight, but I think there are possibly 4 teams that may be on paper better than us. I'm looking at Roma, Porto, Villa, and Bologna.
Yeah, I guess Leon, I know they've had their troubles, but they are quite an established team.
Well, I beat them.
Yeah. Thank you, Leon, for everything you've done for us. But yeah, I mean, this is important as well. Like, it's growing up, we've not had European, experience. You only really hear the stories from your parents and things like that. This is almost quite a nice passing of the torch moment for families as well. It's one of those that sort of goes beyond football. And, I don't know how ticket prices are going to work for it. I really hope that fans don't get priced out of this. Maybe there's something. Is there anything like in Europe that protects ticket prices for Europa League? Or
I think the ticket prices are protected.
I hope so. I really do.
I think they're limited.
Because one of the sad things about this season is, Premier League games are pricing out fans. So I do hope it is protected. I think for away days, I think, it'll be a lot cheaper. And hopefully for City Ground nights, it's protected and we can get some good prices. But it's just beyond exciting. And I think the draws on the 29th of August might be wrong. So that would be an exciting thing just to see us in a draw and find out who we will be getting.
Here's a surprise question for you then, JJ. I'm going to throw in right now.
I had a surprise question for you, so let's see if it's the same one.
Boy, you need to put the list back up.
Sorry, okay. Sorry, Pat.
Based on experience, not a easiest route to the knockout stages, but if you had to pick the 2 teams from each pot for us to play to give us the fans the best experience of the Europa League, what 2 teams from each pot would you pick?
So the draws are always confusing, isn't it? You can always have like 1 from 1. So this is
it's 2 teams from each pot.
But I mean, and then like Champions League, we've said that can only go in Group D, that can only go in Group blah blah.
Oh yeah, irrelevant to that. You can pick whatever you want.
So before someone goes, actually, you can't do that. It don't matter. This is just ideal list.
I'm actually going to say I don't think that matters anymore because of the way it's done. So I think, for example, we could play Villa.
Okay. Well, either way, I'll do it. But I just wanted to say that just before someone just kills me. Pot 1, I think, I would love a Rangers. I would love a Rangers fixture, but I ain't going to choose them. I'm going to go for Roma and Porto.
Yeah.
I think that would be, classic European pedigree. I think a Rangers Forest one would be really excellent, but I can't go past Roma and Porto in this projected pot 1.
I'll give mine as well for pot 1. I'd actually go Rangers and Feyenoord. I'd love a Rangers at home and a Feyenoord away.
Interesting.
Early weekend now in Rotterdam. Oh, bless you.
Yeah. For pot 2, I think I would probably go for Sporting Braga, and it's a toss-up between Fenerbahce and Lyon. I think I'll go Fenerbahce.
I agree with Braga. If anyone's never seen Braga's ground before, it's very definitely worth looking at. It has no ends and it's built in a quarry. It's a 30,000 seater stadium, but it has no ends. It's 2 15,000 seater stands that are held together by cables. Very
Whilst you're talking about that, I'm just going to Google it. So carry on talking.
And also from pot 2, I think I'd pick Villa. I'd love Villa at home under the lights in a European competition. Two Champions League winners going head to head.
Yeah, I suppose that is the narrative. There is really actually quite nice that, two sleeping giants finally back to where they belong in Europe. I know Villa have had European opportunities. Also on it, I would Google Sporting Braga Stadium if you haven't seen it, because I have, and it's mental. So I would love to have an away day there. That's incredible. Also, here's a question. When I went to see, this is a bit of a
sidebar
deviance, but I saw the Forest preseason game in Faro, and I was so excited to sit there, watch football, and drink a beer. However, they didn't allow you to do it. They could only give you alcohol-free beer. Now, I thought that was a European thing, that you could sit in stands, watch football, and have a beer. Please tell me, is that just a Faro thing? Are we able to do this in Europe? Obviously, it's not the most important thing, but it's bloody good if it happens. Let me know, please. So you'd go for, Braga and Villa in pot 2. So
yeah.
Pot 3, I guess we only get one team?
No, 2. Still get 2. You have to play 8 games.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
2 from each pot.
But then would we not be 1? I don't know.
No, because that's 7 games.
But then there'll be 3 from that pot.
It's 2, JJ. I'm sure it is.
Okay, that makes no sense to me, but either way. If there's 3 from that pot, then there'd be 9 in the
not 3
group.
No, because you're somebody else's team, aren't you?
Oh, God. Okay. I don't know. Pot 3. As well as us, it would probably be FC Basel. Probably Freiburg. Nice little German away day there, but, Nice would be quite...
I'd go Nice.
Would be quite Nice.
I'd go Nice and Freiburg.
And then pot 4, there's some nice teams in here. I think Bologna.
One in pot 4 that sticks out to me.
Celta Vigo. Oh, there's Malmo for the
history. It's got to be Malmo for nostalgia.
Yeah,
it's got to be Malmo.
And let's go Celta Vigo. But Stuttgart and Bologna as well is exciting.
Maybe a day in Belgium, in Genk for the beers. That'd be quite good.
Yeah. It's exciting. I'm
There's
really
wins everywhere there, mate. The wins everywhere.
We've got Europa League. That's insane. Let me throw, before we go on to discussing the next game against Palace, let me throw you your surprise question.
Boom.
Forest have a season like last season.
Where if we'd have beaten Leicester, we'd have got Champions League football? That kind of season.
Don't look upon it that negatively. A really strong season where we're established ourselves within the mixer, top 8 upwards. We're in the mixer for qualification for European competitions, and we're doing well. But we don't get out of the group stages of Europe. Or would you swallow a season like Spurs, where they, were really poor in the league? They finished 17th. They never really looked like doing much, but they got to the final of the Europa League.
Can I ask a qualifying question for this?
If the question is, do you know you're going to win the league, win the trophy?
No. The question is, so although Spurs finished 17th, they were never actually in any danger of going down. I think they finished 17th. But they were never actually in any danger of going down. If we're never actually in danger of going down, I will take the 17th in the Europa League final.
Right, okay. Interesting. I think I will. And I think it's open to the comments. Please let us know your thoughts. I do think there will be a few people that would consider that to be a bad season. But I think, given it's our first season doing sort of Thursday, Sunday games, heavy fixtures, we're going to have to really heavily rely on our squads. I think there's a lot there. So I think while 17th or 16th, whatever Spurs finish, that would be probably quite a difficult season to navigate.
I would counter that and say, if anybody knows a Spurs fan, ask them if they care about finish 17th last season, or if they will ever shut up talking about actually winning a trophy.
Yes, good point.
That would be my. My point.
The opposite side of that is you're Man U and you've had a bad season and you finish 16th or 17th and you come away with nothing. Now that would be a bad season, I think.
I would say we're in a different place than Man United, though. I would still say Europa League, like for example the FA Cup. In my opinion, we might as well have won the FA Cup because we got to the semi-final. We've not done that since 1991.
Yeah.
No. Recently promoted, finished sixth, seventh in an FA Cup semi-final. Last season was nothing but a win.
Yeah, I don't think that is going to be the case. I think we will be strong. I think we'll be challenging probably top 10, 9. Hopefully.
Single digits.
If we can get far in the Europe competition and, single digit finish in the league, that'd be very exciting. But we'll move on.
Sorry, a single digit finish and a knockout and at least one knockout game in Europe.
Great season.
Happy boy.
Great season.
Happy boy. Sensational season.
So we'll just quickly touch on the fact that we are playing our arch rivals who are in the Europa Conference League, Crystal Palace, this Sunday. They drew 0-0 with Chelsea at the weekend. Didn't get to see it because it was on at the same time as ours. So I've not heard or seen anything from it. So I can't really tell you how they are playing or if they're any good. But obviously, they're off the back of a Community Shield win and a good season where they won the FA Cup and qualified for the Europa League for a little bit at least. But this is on screen now as their starting 11 at the weekend against Chelsea. So Jacob's going to read it for you. Obviously, subject to change, possibly with some transfer rumours, but read this starting 11, Jacob, and we'll quickly touch upon our thoughts.
It looks like a 3-4-3. So it's Dean Henderson, net, Richards, Lacroix, and Gahey across the back, Munoz, Wharton, Hughes, and Tyrick Mitchell across the 4. And then the front 3 is Ismail Assar, Jean-Philippe Mateta?
Yep.
And Eberechi Eze. At the level that Palace are expected to perform at, I would suggest that the only weak link there is possibly Will Hughes.
Absolutely.
And I'm clutching at straws there. I think Will Hughes is, despite his Derby connections, is a very decent player.
I agree. I think this, they have got a very good squad. They are a good team, and I think we could aspire to be sort of this level of just constantly building talent, introducing young talent, selling them for a lot of money. Like if Mark Guay and Eze do go, that's going to be a good whack of cash. Wharton, I really like Wharton. I really like everything about him.
Henderson Man United at the minute, apparently.
Is he? Oh, God. That's
backward step for him, if you ask me. But
100% would be a backward step. I think anyone going to Man United is a backward step at the minute, but hey-ho. The Sesko thing makes zero sense to me. Henderson, up-and-coming keeper, I still maintain he could be England's number one day. So they've got a really good squad. Whether all of them will be playing this Sunday, things happen quite fast at this point in the window. If they're doing it as this 11, I think it will be a very interesting game. I think we're relatively equally matched. I think the difference will be, and this is why it's so important, what we've done this last week would be our bench and the strength that we will now have coming off the bench. If you've got tired legs, second game of the season, and then you've got Hutchinson coming off the bench and running at you, that's exciting. And Chris Wood to run near ragged and bully you and have a few shots over the 60, 70 minutes, and then you've got Kali Mwendo on. That's really strong changes. So I say I can't really describe or sort of tell you how well they played yesterday, if they deserve the draw, if they deserve more, if they were lucky. But I think on the surface of things, it's going to be a difficult game. And there will be that added element of bite and hostility from the crowd, given that we have their place and we are away. So I'm going to still go for a Forest win. I do predict it will be tight. I will go for a 1-0 Forest win. But I think it will be a very, very close and interesting game.
I think 1-1. I think it's a very decent team, and they'll be obviously up for it. The crowd will be hostile, rightly or wrongly, and I think 1-1, and we'll look to get out of Dodge because I think that's a very tricky fixture.
I agree. I think I'll take a point. I'd be very happy with a point. I think those are the type of games where if you can't win, don't lose. If you can win, even better. And our away record was sensational last season. I think we actually won more away games than home games, I believe, which is unlike us. So let's hope that can continue. If we can get 3 points on the board in a hostile environment, in a tricky fixture, in our first away game, that lends us quite well. Because then we've got West Ham up next, which we'll talk about following the Palace game. And they look weak to me. So they look like we could be sort of getting at them. So it'd be good to take some confidence going into that.
Absolutely.
Right, take us home, Jacob.
Well, if you join us for the first time, God bless you. If you've come back again and again and again and again and again and again with an 8-month break and again and again and again and again and again, God knows we love you. You Reds.